Our lives are a string of insights, flashes of inspiration that can be the catalyst for new ideas. However, our pace of life these days means we tend to miss some of them completely. I'm Dave Hill, and I'm the host of the Simple Reflections podcast, a fortnightly series of interviews with people from all walks of life. Our conversations are an invitation to reflect on some of the simple insights my guests have had that have gone on to have a profound impact on their lives. So grab a cuppa and a biscuit, join us, slow down for a little while and see what shows up for you. Welcome to the next episode of the Simple Reflections podcast. Today I'm joined by Nikon Gormley. Nikon is a transformational coach, as well as being a taekwondo, a martial arts coach, having practiced and forced his way around in his earlier life, and is based in Bangkok in Thailand. Nikon, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dave. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be here and share this wonderful space with you.
You're very welcome. Nikon came on my radar during the summer because my good friend Dara Power shared something that he was going to be doing with Nikon, Mavis Khan, and Martin Dara, and they were going to be producing two series of
Yeah,
seminars, one with athletes and one with or sports
coaches.
coaches.
Yeah.
And I jumped on the back of the sports coaches one, not because I am a sports coach, but because I'm always curious about exploring how other people see things, how things show up in different fields that I'm not involved in. And I just like hanging out with Mavis and Dara. So it was a bit of a no-brainer. Um, but I was wondering, Nick, on what sort of drew you to create that zone program in the first place? What was that all around?
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you for joining. And you're not the only one. We had so many people who weren't athletes and they had nothing to do with athletics, but they were drawn by the feeling of it. They were
Uh-huh.
drawn by the feeling of the program, and they some like I think something inside them drew them to come and just be a part of it. And everybody who joined got so much out of it. I'm really grateful that you showed up to it. And to answer your question, I've been working with Mavis Karn for about 2 years now, and I love helping her bring to life the ideas she has. And we were in a session, and she said, "Oh, you know what would be cool? I want to do a program for athletes because I love working with athletes and coaches. Like, I just want to create it. What do you think?" And true to form, my response is usually, "Don't worry about it. I'll put it together." And then literally out of thin air, and it comes to you. The person's like, as soon as she said it, Dark Power's face floated by. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go talk to Dark." And then Mavis like just, "Oh, talk to Martin Dower too." So that happened. Then we brought them together, and everything showed up. And that was it. It was just Mavis Karn said, "I want to do this." And I was like, "All right, let me help you put it together." And that was it. And something
Cool.
inside of me too, I was really aligned with it because I spent most of my earlier life, from the age of 12 to 33, I'm 39 now, just in a taekwondo gym, fighting, losing medals, traveling around the world. So that world was very dear and close to my heart. And it and so as soon as it came about, it's like, "Yep, we're doing this." Yeah.
I can see that. I can see why that might be.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I thank you very much for following through on Mavis's idea because yeah, I certainly learned some bits and pieces along the way. Um, Given your background and well, the fact that you've still got a foot in both camps, I suppose, in terms of sports coaching and coaching people in business and in life, um, how do you see those two different arenas complementing each other?
Oh, I would say they're one in the same. I reckon you could read any sports book metaphor and you could see it, right? I've been reading the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Have you ever read
Okay.
that book?
I've not, no.
Beautiful book. I highly recommend to read it from this inside perspective. You'll see the whole thing come together. And Phil Knight was a runner in the US. So a lot of his business drive and ideas came from running. And in fact, every time he would get caught up in his thinking, he would go for like a 4 mile run. And he just that wasn't like a business strategy. His body just knew to do that. And how they complement each other, I would say they both lend each other a deeper understanding of the feeling of being alive,
Mm.
right? As in your background as a soldier. I've never been a soldier, but I've had a lot of in Taekwondo, it's like I don't know what they call it in English. It's there are different types of sports, right? And racket sports is somebody's gonna hit something to you and you have to hit it back. There's board games, but combat sports is one where someone's going to hit you,
Hmm.
and you know they're going to hit you, and you have to do something about it. And you can't like, oh, I don't want to play anymore. It's like you have to do something back. And so being in that, for me, it was the only thing that shut up my thinking as a kid. 'Cause I couldn't think about anything. I had to
Hmm.
focus on the foot that was flying past my face,
Yeah, exactly.
And like I was just so it was my meditation as a hyperactive, overthinking 12-year-old. And knowing that, so seeing the glimpses of just I would call it spirit performance, where you're just watching yourself do things you didn't know you could do,
Hmm.
and how that complements the business because I feel like in business everybody has a bad habit of A, taking themselves too seriously, and B, taking whatever they're doing way too seriously, and it complements because as an athlete or anybody who has a sense of where performance comes from, we just know that overthinking is not where the best of ourselves come from.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I've seen it time and time again in all areas, like business and sports. The best of us comes from when we're really present in life and we're really connected. And knowing where to look really helps. So I'll tell you a story. Do you know how they came up with the name Nike?
Uh, I have a feeling I've heard it before, but I certainly don't remember it. So no, go for it.
Okay. So you would imagine Phil Knight, up and coming, he's importing shoes from Japan, Onitsuka. That relationship is deteriorating. He needs to create his own brand and do something new. And he's coming up logically with all these interesting names, and the team hates the names. They're like Dimension 6 Fast Runners or something like that. And he gets the team together and they're brainstorming, nothing good comes out of it. But the problem is, like that, the Friday of that week, they need to deliver a name to the factory in Mexico to print on the shoes, right? They have the swish already. A lady just kind of swished something, and they were like, I don't know about it, but okay, we'll go with it. And then, like the night before they delivered the name, one of the employees named Johnson apparently was sleeping and stood and like got out of and like kind of sat right up and said Nike in a dream. Isn't that
Wow.
wild?
Yeah, it is wild.
Right? And then that's how the name came. It came to one of his employees. That knowing how that works and where that comes from and knowing how to feel for that is for me is the complement between sports and business.
Mm. Yeah, it's trusting in the process, I suppose, of how we operate. And um, both in sports and in business, there's a series of systems and practices that are in place that are practiced and become routine. But it's the developing of those things and then becoming routine that they become second nature that we then get to put together in the moment with what feels like the next best thing to do. So I expect there were a few times as a young boy where that
Mhm.
foot connected with your face and you went, yeah, I'm not doing that
Yeah,
again.
on both
Um,
ends, a foot on my face and my foot on the other guy's face, and take it all and taking it all in stride. Like as a young athlete, the saying that life is a contact sport was very literal for me. Like some days it was my day, and most of the days it wasn't my day, and I was just getting beat up on. And then letting that take me. where it went. And for some reason this comes up. If I were to go back and do it all again, I would tell myself to enjoy the hell out of it and not think so much about it, because that's where my intellect got in the way, where I really tried to like hack it. I tried to hack the Taekwondo system and really like intellectualize it, analyze the fights, figure it out, and that just got in the way of me enjoying the sport. I think I know I totally did the same thing for business early on in creating businesses and failing at businesses, is I just tried to think my way through it and I couldn't see anything. And and when I really slowed down enough with the help with our mutual colleagues and teachers like Mavis Carr and Michael Neal, just slow down and just see. And then from that seeing, I saw everything. And
Mm.
there's a lot of, you said it, trust. Trust came in. And not as a, I need to trust the process. I need to trust. It was, oh, trust. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And I would say one of the biggest things that I'm seeing fresh about sports and businesses is about natural cycles. Is that um, it's not always your day, and that's okay.
Mm.
Meaning that there are just cycles to things. So like there's spring, winter, autumn, things like that. And I think people freak out when their business isn't doing well or isn't doing the thing they expect it to do. I think, oh no, something's wrong with me. I need a better strategy. I need to work better. I'm a piece of shit. I need to not realizing it just if you just wait 2 months,
Yeah.
yeah. And
There's yeah, that,
that struck me the most. Even as an athlete, I fought some guys, and as I started to get into this understanding towards the end of my career, um, it was I remember I fought one guy, and I just knew that it was his day today. Like I just knew in every fiber of my being that that guy was going to win a gold medal that day, and I was just in the way. But I was going to have a good time while I was in the way. I was going to get in a few good kicks. I was like, it's not my day, but I'm still going to kick you.
yeah, I'm not going to make it easy for him. He's
Yeah, I'm
not
not
going to
gonna
get
make it
served
easy
up on a
for you
plate.
anyways. I'm here to have a good time too, so I'm gonna try and kick your ass. And he did win a gold medal that day. And I think, and reflecting on that now and telling you that story of like, oh, yeah, everybody has their days.
Mm.
I don't know if any of that made sense, but that's what came through.
No, that's cool. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. There's an interesting thing about us as human beings is of when we come up against stuff, it seems like the best thing we can do is think it to pieces,
Yeah,
because there's got to be something here that we're missing. Um, but we tend to do that by diving in. Um, when actually, what you've just described, and what I've noticed time and time again from my version, my viewpoint of this understanding, and before that, to be honest,
mm,
is that even if I feel really up against it, I'm way better off giving myself some space and looking more broadly, because there will be something here that I am missing. And it will be
right,
there. It'll be there for the taking. It'll be there dangling. I just can't see it um, because I'm so focused on what I think the problem is, rather than seeing, where else I might be able to go. Um,
right. And that's so cool. What I realized in what you just said is the taking space. As an athlete, it looked like probably a second or half a second of just wait. Or as a business owner of like, okay, I need to go for a walk, or for Phil Knight going for a 4 mile run. But that's all you need. Like you just need that much. That much can make a world of difference.
mm, yeah, yeah. In
I'm
a
really
complete,
grateful I know what I know. Yeah.
absolutely, in a completely dark room, a pinprick of light is illuminating. It becomes the only thing in the room. Um,
That's my favorite quote, by the way. It
is
only
it?
takes a pinhole of light for all of grace to come through.
There you
Aubrey
go.
Sandstrom.
I had never heard it that put like that before. So there we
Really?
go.
Okay, I highly recommend it. Aubrey Sandstrom, The Phone Call. It's a brilliant moth story. Highly recommended.
Brilliant. Thank you. I will definitely be looking that up. Um, yeah. Given the nature of your two worlds at the moment,
Yeah.
what do you find, or what do your business clients find the most surprising in your approach to life these days in terms of how you explain things to them? What rocks their world in a way that they were not expecting?
That's a great question. I reckon in the beginning, they're probably what's rocking their world by the nature of our conversation. I think when they hire a consultant or coach, they're thinking strategies, numbers, tools, frameworks. And if you were to watch my conversations with my clients, it would just look like two friends having a chat. And I think what rocks their world is how simple the conversations are and how normal it is. And well, I think what rocks their world is how results seem to manifest themselves as a result of these simple chats.
Yeah.
And I forget that too. I forget that it's like that. So case in point, I'm working with one company who wanted to grow their revenue by let's say 10%, and they're a multi-million dollar company. And I caught myself in my insecure thinking, but no, but they hired me. They should grow by 30%, and then I will be a great coach. And then I settled myself, and we're having one of these group sessions with the clients, and I just thought, wow, this is a nice conversation. It feels light. People are laughing. They can joke about stuff in spite of the workload they have on
Mhm.
and what looks like stress and pressure. Everybody's really light. They're listening to music, and then it occurred to me, like, oh yeah, that's it. They're good. Like we're good. If they can enjoy this feeling while doing their work, like they're good. That's all they need.
Mm. It's so
And
true.
yeah, and that simplicity, I think that's what rocks the world is the simplicity of it, David. The it can't be that simple. You mean my people just learn how to navigate insecure thinking and they know what to do when they're stuck and that's enough to grow things? Can't be that simple. I encourage you to try it on.
There's a reason why my company's called Simplicity in Mind, and this
Yeah.
podcast is called Simple Reflections.
Yeah. And it changes things, really changes things. Like there's a lot of premises in the world of business that are largely unhelpful. A few of them are you have to grow really fast, you have to grow really fast or you're behind. If you haven't raised $1 billion in your first 2 months, you're a failure, you know. Like there's all these like made up timelines. If you aren't successful by this or if you aren't growing by this, and it's all made up. It's so all made up, and it's what gets us stuck. And I think what surprises clients is their own finding their own wisdom. That if you sit with them, like, well, what's your sense about this? And they always know. They always know. They're always right.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's the beauty about being a coach is being able to ask those questions that allow people to catch on to what they already are have a sense of, but haven't conceptualized as a sentence, I suppose. And when they hear it out loud, they go, "Oh yeah, 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 yes, we've got it. We've got that is it." And it's come from them. But we're the sort of, I suppose, there with a torch shining it around the place, looking for the shiny thing, going, right, yeah, tell me more about that, please.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just sparks things off for people in a way that
Uh,
they're absolutely capable of doing on their own, but we can help draw out of them by being curious externally, I suppose.
yeah. You want to hear a story about
Yeah,
that?
please go for it.
I got called in to speak to a client and very, very, very successful client in Thailand. We went to, I would call the jewelry district. There's a building in Thailand, in Bangkok. every conceivable gem you could think of exists in that building. And this gentleman had an office in there, and his business, one of his businesses is jewelry, and he has like the diamond watch and everything, and and on the wall there's all these awards about how great of a leader he is, and trust me, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, why am I here? What could this person possibly want from me? Super successful, super kind, and he looks at me and we kind of look at each other and he says, I I have a challenge where I seem I have a challenge with time management, and I'm double booking meetings, and I forget things, and I feel like if I had better time management, I would be more successful. And it was a very surreal question for me because I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't believe you. So I didn't know what to say. So I said that, David. I said, I don't think you have a problem with time management. And he kind of cocked his head. And I said, if you did, I don't think you'd be able to create the success you have now. It just doesn't add up. And I said, I think you have a lot on your mind. And then when you have a lot on your mind, your time management diminishes. We had this quiet moment of just looking at each other, and I'm just going with it. And somehow I said, "Do you ever just know what to do?" And his eyes lit up, and he said, "God." And I look at him, and the sense was, "Tell me more." It's like it's all God, all of this. It's all God. I'm just doing God's work, and I'm giving back. And what came out of my mouth was, "You can give time management to God too." In his eyes, like you could tell, like something had clicked. Like he didn't know you could do that, and I didn't know you could do that either until it came out of my mouth. I mean, and we just had this beautiful conversation of exploring the things you could give to God.
Yeah, when it feels like it's all on our shoulders, um, it can all feel quite daunting.
Right. Think about it. Most of business literature or any leadership literature is all based on that premise that it's all on your shoulders. And if you could just become a better leader, your life will be better. And because things are shit, it's on your shoulders to fix it. And things aren't great because you're a shitty leader. That's the first time I said that out loud, and I just realized that it's a completely false premise because it's not on your shoulders. I can't tell you how many things in my life have come together through sheer serendipity. Like if it were up to Phil Knight to name his company, it would be called something weird like Dimension Six or something like that. But God stepped in and was like, no, Nike. I want to put this in some guy's dream and give it to you. Go with that.
What's um what's been showing up that's fresh and new and exciting for you?
Ah, the feeling. For me, it's felt like these past years, so I've been in the principals for maybe 5 years, and it's just felt like an evolving simplicity, and I've been loving the feeling of the simplicity. I used to way overthink coaching. I used to think it was all on my shoulders. It was all on me to help this person in front of me who paid me good money to fix their life, to make their life better, all on me. And I would just double down on listening, try to help, to guide, to help them understand, to point out stuff. And I didn't realize that that was the very thing that was in the way of actually helping people.
Hmm.
And it came about that realization really solidified for me, I think last month during the program that we were part of. It was one it was after one of the sessions I was listening to the two of the mentors sharing, and one of the mentors said, "Oh, you know how sometimes you get caught up listening, trying to help people or help them understand or help guide them." And the other mentor said, "Yeah, I do my best not to get into that. When I catch myself, I let go of that." And I was sitting there listening to them. I'm like, "Wait a minute, but what do you mean you're not trying to help them or help or guide them or help them understand? Isn't that what we're here for? And they looked at me and said like, and she said, why would you do that? And then something clicked in my head where, oh. And then she said, when you're trying to help someone or guide them or help them understand it, that just gets in the way of the feeling. And the feeling does the work. That knocked me on my ass for a couple weeks. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong. Oh, I'm such a terrible coach. And then my mentor said, get over it and get over yourself and go be a better coach. I'm like, okay. But
Okay.
that's the simplicity of it, of the letting the feeling do the work. And it was such an upsetting insight. And it was so upsetting to me because after that, all my sessions got better. And I put in way less effort. I was like, damn it.
I think that's just part of, our continual growth as humans. That we're doing the best we can with what we've got in the moment until something new shows up that makes more sense. At which point we go, why did I do that? Because there was nothing else on the radar until now. And it doesn't make sense to do that anymore. So you'll do this. And I love it.
I love it. I have one of the ways I measure my seeing is I go back and read Sydney Banks books or the Tao Te Ching or the Wu Wei. And every time I see something new, I see something new in the words too. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, that I see that now. Like I learned the Wu Wei literally means like no way. Like no way, nothing. And and from that, just I don't know how to describe it, just beautiful things, scenes just start coming up. I was having this conversation with another client the other day, and he looked at me and he said, "You remember that movie, the never ending story with Falcor and the dragon?" And you remember that movie, the never
I
ending
don't
story?
know.
It was a really like famous fantasy movie in I would say 1990s, at about the same time as the Dark Crystal with David Bowie.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't a big film buff back then.
Okay, okay, okay. So in that movie, every all the characters are running away from nothing, literally. And the client said, "Do you remember they were all running away from nothing? That everything they were afraid of was nothing." And we both had this like, "Oh, we're just all afraid of nothing." Thought.
Yeah. It's funny. The more I explore this stuff, the more I see it in everything around me.
That's it. And going back to your original question of how sports and business complement it, the more simple it looks, the more it just looks like the same thing to me.
Mm. Yeah.
And the only difference is one person's trying to win a medal and the other person's trying to grow something that does something useful for another group of people.
Mhm. What what I have found useful, um, by having diverse populations that I speak to,
Mm.
is that you can take examples from each other to the opposite side because they're less invested in it, and you can get more playful with, sticking with sports and business. The business people will get playful with a sports analogy because it's not on their radar of things to worry about, and vice versa. And as a result of that, slow down and then start seeing the parallels for themselves. And I
Yeah,
love, that's what the beauty of the principles is all about. It's about using story and analogy and bits and pieces just to throw things out there and see what people grab from that.
absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like that's the way the elders used to do it because it was the only way you can describe the unseen. It's the only way you can articulate it, and then people get from it what they get from it, what they their level of seeing it. Right? It's the un I forgot the word now. It's gone out of my brain. But the visible and the invisible, right? Inside out. It's the only way we can articulate it. I had a really cool experience the other day of two people seeing thought like in the moment. It was great. I was in a business mastermind, and one person, they were going to go do business in the Middle East and they'd never been, and they were concerned, like, oh, what is it going to be like? Are they going to like me? How do I act? Am I going to do the right way? And the person next to him has been to the Middle East a lot. You're like, "Pfft, don't worry about it. You're fine. Like, it's you're going to have a great time. Don't just go to this restaurant." And then when we switched, the guy who said that was talking about starting over in business and in life. And the guy who was worried about the Middle East, like, oh, don't worry about it. I've done that a lot of times. You'll be fine. You know, you always bounce back. And I said, like, do you guys see that? Like how because of your perspectives, you are completely unafraid of the other thing the other person's terrified of. And the only difference between the two of you is what you're thinking about it.
Yep.
We had
Yep.
this like, oh, snap.
Yeah, yeah. And the only difference between the only difference between them being is they have some knowledge of the other person's fear. Um,
Yeah.
well, it comes back to what were you frightened of? What are you frightened of? You're frightened of the thing that you don't know. Um,
And that's true. Like that's just we're as humans, that's built in. I mean, yeah, built in to just be afraid of what we don't know.
correct.
And something I think what came out fresh out of that particular session was if you know you're afraid, you're not that afraid.
Mhm. It's
And
an
I
awareness.
feel that that is one of the most helpful things I've seen lately in business and in sports is if you know that you're scaring yourself with your own thinking, you're halfway there
Yeah,
to freedom.
yeah. It's a great big awareness game.
Yeah. And me too. I'll be the first one. I'm still the first one to get afraid, insecure, nervous. Like I'm the first, I'll be the first one to raise my hand.
I, we wouldn't be human if it didn't happen, and it's the thing that keeps us alive. Um, we try and create a story that says that we're not, that we're big and we're rough and we're tough and all the rest of it. But that's a story that we're creating, which isn't helpful because we know internally that it's not true. And we end up with a bit of conflict between what we're saying out in the world and what we're feeling on the inside, which at some point is going to trip us up. Um, and that just literally the process of tripping up is probably the most helpful thing ever because we'll wake up and we'll become aware and go, actually, no, I'm allowed to be. I'm allowed to be frightened of this, but I also know with the experience that I've got to date and the other people in the world that have already done the thing that I'm frightened of, that it's
Yeah.
probably not as bad as I'm making it out to be.
Yeah. And just that, it just the moment you see, like people really see what you just articulated, they open up so much of their bandwidth to insight, possibility, creativity, and yeah, I mean that's exactly what you described is exactly why they didn't come up with the name Nike in that brand naming session with Phil Knight and his team because people are trying to think their way through it.
Yeah,
And
trying to force it out.
the moment they took a break, the guy went home and made space and he had a dream and he woke up like Nike.
Yeah,
Isn't that wild?
it is. It is. Um,
I'm really grateful that you're out there in the world doing your work and sharing this because it really is the best thing to know. It's one of the key factors in living a great life in this day and age is being able to discern what you're really seeing and what you're reacting to in your own thinking and knowing where to look to find answers.
that's really kind. Thank you. You know,
It's the most powerful competitive advantage that exists.
it's when we feel up against it, we think it's all on us to try and solve. Um, and when we are prepared to be a little bit vulnerable, and we don't even need to do that particularly that publicly, but and ask for help or look for help, then there's normally a lot of it available to us. Um, the idea behind this whole podcast was to create a series of conversations that we're all pointing in the same direction, but from subtly different angles. Because I know that within the gaps between those different views, people are going to see fresh stuff. And, by the time this one comes out, we'll be in the 70s of episodes of conversations like this. And that's exciting because I have no idea what people are going to learn and hear from the conversations that I've had with people over time. But I do know they're going to hear stuff and that's going to be of service to them. And that's really, really exciting.
Isn't it cool too that what they hear is also not on us?
Hmm. And never was in the first place.
Yeah. I was listening to a Sydney Banks audio and, and a few of them he just tells jokes. You ever hear those where he just
Mhm.
tells the joke and you're like, oh, you're like, yeah, like I heard something in his joke. Yeah.
There's wisdom in everything.
Everything.
But we think it's in the thing that we're hearing. It's actually in our understanding of what we've just heard. And it might have absolutely nothing to do with what's being said, but something comes to us to go, oh, wow, yeah, I haven't seen whatever it was like that before, and we're off. And that's really cool. And that's an inside job. That's coming from everybody. They have the capacity for that. They just think they need to go and collect wise people in their world to give them wisdom when actually the wisdom is just released from them.
I'll tell you something cool. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
Panipak Wongpatanakit is Thailand's legendary taekwondo player. She won like three Olympic gold medals. Two of them were gold. Won the most Grand Prix than any other athlete that exists. And I remember for some reason it comes up in this conversation because in Taekwondo you have to win the medal on that day. So you might have five fights on that day. It's like brackets,
Mhm.
but you don't get like, oh, I'm gonna go to take a break. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. So you have to finish the job that day. So tennis, her name's Tennis, but she plays Taekwondo, right? Tennis, Panipak. We'll call her Panipak. That's her Thai name. Tennis is her nickname. So Panipak, she would win her match, but then she would look on the bracket to who she was fighting next. But then they have to fight. So she would just go and watch her opponents fight, not to analyze, but just to get a feel
Mhm.
for the person she was going to fight. And what was interesting to me, the way she described it is she's not measuring or analyzing. She's just literally sitting there and watching and letting wisdom come to her about what might be helpful for her
Getting a feel for it.
in the moment, getting a feel for it. Like how cool because she knows where to look. Like if I just sit there, it'll come to me and I'll see stuff. And she'll see stuff that you and I probably will never see in a fight. Like we're talking
Mhm.
microisms of movements and adjustments, things like that, and athletes and in business as well. How cool.
Very,
And that's
very.
available to everybody who knows where to look. Like
Mhm.
like she's not special. She just knows where to look.
Yeah. And the interesting thing in that, from a coaching perspective, is whoever we're coaching is the athlete. They're the subject matter expert in whatever field it is that they are competing in. And our job is to ask questions of what they're seeing, to allow them to see more clearly.
And I would add too to just be and let what shows up and like just be so curious.
Mhm.
Derek Power, our mutual friend and colleague, would say, notice what they already see. Like, wow, like they know a lot, like, but they don't know they know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. What a cool gig.
It is. It is. Nikon, thank you so much for coming. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And thank you for your time and your energy to create this. I know a lot of people will benefit from it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for giving your time up, especially at this busy time of year for you. Um, is there anything that you've got coming up that you'd like to share with the listeners? Um,
Sure. Nothing comes to mind. I'm just happy to be here.
Amazing. No worries. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Cool.
Take care. Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed the conversation, feel free to subscribe and join me and my new guest next time. If you're interested in the work I'm doing, or you think I can be of service to you or your organisation, please email dave@simplicityofmind.co.uk. Remember, see if you can find time to slow down and reflect. Those simple ideas might be worth listening to. Take care, and I hope you can join me in a couple of weeks.